this video we're going to continue our work looking at surds. Now from the previous video you should remember that if we take the square root of 4 and times it by the square root of 5, I get the square root of 20. Because 4 times 5 is 20, so it follows that the root of 4 times the root of 5 equals the root of 20. So what we've got here are 3 different multiplication sums to give me the square root of 20. All of these 6 numbers here, square root of 1, root 20, root 2, etc., they're all factors of the square root of 20. So what we're going to do is we're going to find one of them, because one of them will enable us to simplify the surd. One of them is actually the odd one out, and it's this one down here at the bottom because of the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. So another way of writing this would be the square root of 20 equals 2 lots of the square root of 5. This is what we call simplifying the surd. Here are 2 examples. Now in the first example, the square root of 48, I'm going to break this up into the square root of 16 times the square root of 3. Now the square root of 3 is irrational, there's nothing I can do to tidy that one up, but the square root of 16 is 4, so I can simplify this fully to 4 root 3. In the second example, the square root of 45 is made up of the square root of 9 times by the square root of 5. The square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 5, well, that's irrational, so I'm just going to leave it as the square root of 5. A little tip here. Notice how I could have broken these up into different factors. For example, the square root of 48, I could have made it up from the square root of 24 times the square root of 2. But that's no good to me because neither 24 nor 2 are square numbers which I can simplify down like this one. I chose the square root of 16 for a reason, because I know the square root of 16 is 4. Similarly, in the second example, I chose the square root of 9 because I know what that is. That's 3. Here are 4 questions for you to have a go at. Pause the video here, try these yourself. When you're ready for some answers, hit play and I'll talk you through them. Okay, in the first one then, the square root of 12, I'm going to break it up into root 4, root 3, and root 4 we know is 2, root 3 stays the same. The second one, the square root of 68, I'm going to break it up into root 4 again, root 17. Root 4 is 2, and the square root of 17 stays the same. Root 832 is the square root of 64 times the square root of 13. Root 64 is 8, and root 13 stays the same. That's a surd. And in the very last one, the square root of 275 can be written as the square root of 25 times the square root of 11. Square root of 25 is 5, and root 11 stays the same. Well done if you got all 4 of these questions correct. Consider moving on to surds number 3. Thanks for listening.